5:42 a.m. local time, the Strait of Hormuz. The area is a 21-mile choke point where dense merchant traffic compresses every decision into minutes, and an uncorrelated broadband transient hits the sonar picture hard enough to freeze casual breathing, assessed as torpedo-like in-water energy until proven otherwise. Red battle lights hold steady inside the Virginia-class fast-attack submarine's control spaces. The low hum of conditioned air sits under everything, constant and dry, while deck plates carry a deeper vibration that never fully disappears. Headsets press into ears. Screens glow in tight rows. No voices rise because elevated volume wastes time and distorts judgment. Mark and track. The order is clinical, short, and it forces the first procedural pivot. The ocean's noise becomes a dataset, not a backdrop. Broadband shows the transient as a sharp, fast-rise event. Too clean to be a random slap of waves. Too energetic to ignore in a choke point. Narrowband begins the slow work of turning chaos into lines. Tonals, harmonics, bearing drift, Doppler hints. Nothing is confirmed. Everything is treated as lethal until classified down. At nearly the same moment, the surface above the submarine changes shape. In the salt-heavy morning mist, water boils roughly 50 yards off an Iranian GAM-class patrol boat. A black metallic sail breaches like a building forcing daylight, and an emergency ballast blow screams. High-pitched, mechanical, and absolute driving displays seawater into sheets. The fictionalized camera angle in this reconstruction stays handheld and unstable because close proximity to a surfacing submarine is inherently unstable, and because the patrol boat's deck is not designed for surprise mass rising beneath it. The GAM-class crew does not receive a cinematic warning. The bow wave stutters. Throttles hesitate, then surge. The patrol boat's radar begins a harsh electronic whine, trying to build a track on something that is neither a clean surface contact nor a cooperative target. The sail's wet surfaces throw back cluttered returns. Track quality flickers. Inside the Virginia-class, the surfacing posture is deliberate. The decision to show the sail is not framed as triumph. It is framed as geometry control. In a choke point, visibility is a tool. Deterrence is a tool. Both are used only when the alternative is worse. The sonar team replays the transient. Filtering reduces some clutter, but not uncertainty. The transient's signature remains consistent with a high-speed in-water event, but the initiating cause cannot be confirmed from the available details in the outline. It could be a weapon entry, a slamming hull event, or a fast object crossing an acoustic boundary in shallow water. Datum uncertain. Maintain classification. The Virginia-class holds Shallow Angel 0 in the watchstanding shorthand, while the officer of the deck keeps the ship from drifting into the patrol craft's baffles geometry. Baffles are not an abstract concept here. They are a blind cone where a threat can move without being heard clearly. The straight's background noise makes baffles wider in practice. Make turns for baffles. A controlled turn begins. Not hard enough to spike flow noise, not slow enough to give the other side a stable relative motion picture. The ship's own noise is managed like a weapon. Too loud, and sonar loses the ocean. Too quiet, and maneuver options shrink. The patrol boat reacts with speed. A GAM-class at higher knots broadcasts its position acoustically, whether intended or not. Screw cavitation risk rises, machinery tonals strengthen, and the water carries that story in every direction. The patrol boat appears to attempt to reposition around the sail, seeking a look angle where radar returns improve and where a potential weapon shot might be feasible, without placing the patrol craft inside its own danger envelope. The Virginia-class does not chase. It pivots inside the patrol boat's decision cycle. A submarine does not need to win surface speed. It needs to win time to decision. A second complication arrives immediately. Merchant traffic begins to mask parts of the picture. Large hulls drag acoustic curtains behind them. Radar clutter increases as sun angle changes and mist breaks. The patrol boat's radar whine sharpens, then steadies. MCON disciplined. Minimize transmissions. The instruction is not about secrecy for its own sake. It is about limiting what can be triangulated in a crowded electromagnetic environment where multiple listeners may exist beyond the visible patrol boat. The Strait rewards the side that speaks last. The torpedo-like transient does not repeat on the same bearing, but the absence of repetition is not safety. A weapon can run quiet after initial entry. A contact can move behind merchant noise. A false alarm can still kill if it drives the wrong maneuver. Procedure controls that impulse. Set torpedo countermeasure readiness. No countermeasure is launched. Soft kill readiness is posture. Decoys/noisemakers checked, tubes available, firing interlocks understood, and the maneuvering plan aligned with the most dangerous plausible threat. The submarine's speed remains below cavitation threshold as assessed by the watch, preserving sonar performance. The patrol boat's behavior grows sharper. It closes, then offsets, then closes again. Testing. The sail stays visible. The message is physical, not verbal. Proximity is controlled by the submarine, not the patrol craft. This is Facts Navy. Subscribe for more real-time naval analysis and high-stakes maritime breakdowns. 5:45 a.m. arrives as the outline's next pressure beat, and the anomaly becomes operationally real. The sonar picture shows intermittent narrowband structure beneath the surface contacts noise. Faint tonals that do not cleanly match merchant screws in the immediate area. Bearing drift is slow, suggesting either a distant contact or something attempting to remain masked in clutter. It cannot be confirmed as a submarine. It cannot be dismissed as biologics without better data. Possible undersea contact. Track quality low. The Combat Information Center tightens. The steady glow of screens becomes the only bright thing in a room that refuses drama. Contact management begins the way it always begins in uncertainty. Consistency checks, correlation against known traffic, and deliberate ship handling to force bearing rates that reveal motion. Come left. Steady. A gentle course change is used as a probe. If an undersea contact exists, bearing rate should shift predictably relative to own-ship maneuver. If it does not, the line should smear and dissolve back into ambient. The sonarman watches for Doppler changes, small frequency shifts that imply closing or opening speeds. On the surface, the patrol boat's radar sweep continues to hunt for a stable solution. Track quality spikes briefly as the sail's wet shape presents a cleaner angle, then drops again as sea clutter and mist intervene. The patrol boat appears to be attempting to force a reaction, either a dive that can be framed as retreat or a movement that creates an engagement narrative. The Virginia-class denies both. It holds position long enough to remain visible, but not long enough to become predictable. Hold ROE. The command line hardens the rules. The strait is saturated with non-combatants, tankers, tugs, dhows, and coastal traffic. Any kinetic action carries disproportionate risk. The posture becomes survival-driven restraint. Maximum readiness, minimum irreversible action. The layered defense mindset expands beyond undersea. The sail is visible, meaning the submarine accepts that it can be seen and potentially targeted. Defense becomes a stack. Awareness first, soft kill readiness second, hard kill capability as last resort. Hard kill does not mean launching, it means having solutions built. Fire control maintains continuous calculations. Weapon employment zones are evaluated without assigning unverified numbers. A solution can exist without being used, and that difference is the line between control and escalation. At 6:10 a.m., the air above the strait adds its own layer. An MH-60R Seahawk arrives as a tactical eye, and it does not fire. It drops the net. Sonobuoys splash into the sea in a deliberate perimeter, 360 degrees around the contested patch of water. Each buoy is a small sensor node, a disposable ear in a medium that hides everything. The Seahawk banks over whitecaps, tie-down chains rattle, rotor wash flattens the mist into streaks. The helicopter's crew operates like technicians, because the mission here is data. Build an acoustic fence that forces hidden motion to show itself. Buoy telemetry feeds the tactical picture through data link. Icons appear. Confidence bands tighten and loosen as the ocean argues back. If an undersea contact exists, the buoy field increases the chance of detection. If it does not, the buoy field still reduces uncertainty, and uncertainty is the real enemy in torpedo geometry. A new transient strikes the buoy picture, smaller than the first but sharper than background. It suggests fast motion in water, deeper than the surface craft, inconsistent with the patrol boat's acoustic output. The cue is assessed as potentially weapon-like, but still unconfirmed. New transient, possible in water high-speed event. The Seahawk does not declare victory. It refines. It listens across multiple buoys to triangulate bearing intersections. Track quality improves slightly, then degrades as a large merchant hull crosses one buoy's line of sight and injects its own acoustic wall. The patrol boat reacts by punching throttles again, trying to outrun the cage. Speed creates noise. Noise creates a false comfort on the surface, but it also broadcasts intent. The patrol boat's turns sharpen, possibly attempting to find an angle where the sail is aligned with sunrise glare, and radar reflections can be leveraged. The Virginia-class responds with controlled evasion that does not look like fleeing. A shallow depth change begins, tens of feet, not hundreds, seeking a better acoustic layer. In the strait, thermoclines are not guaranteed, but even minor stratification can bend sound enough to matter. Shift depth. Maintain sonar effectiveness. Speed increases slightly, then returns. Sprint and drift logic adapted to shallow water constraints. sprint too long, and cavitation blooms. Drift too long, and the patrol boat's geometry stabilizes. The ship walks the line, forcing the other side to keep guessing. At 6:30 a.m., the standoff collapses into CPA management. Closest point of approach drops to a margin that feels too small even when measured in ship lengths rather than yards. The patrol boat's circling behavior suggests confusion or indecision. Tight arcs, then widening arcs, then a sudden correction, as if a bridge team realizes how close the sail truly is. The Seahawk's presence introduces another constraint: air defense posture. The helicopter's defensive systems remain active. Radar warning receivers scanning, chaff and flares available. No launches observed. No missile trail appears. Still, the logic is simple. If a man-portable system exists on a deck, exposure time matters. Maintain separation. Keep helo outside small arms envelope. The order is not shouted. It is executed through altitude and orbit distance. The helo stays high enough to reduce vulnerability and low enough to maintain buoy control and sensor effectiveness. In the Virginia-class CIC, the weapons officer remains still, hand near controls, because readiness is a form of time. A firing decision is not made. The outline does not confirm any shot. The posture is ready to act, not acting. Build solution. Stand by. The undersea picture remains unstable. Bearing drift on the faint tonals changes when the submarine turns, which implies motion. It could be an undersea platform. It could be an artifact of the Strait's complex reflections and boundary interactions. The buoy field helps, but it also introduces multiple data streams that can disagree. Track quality fluctuating. Cannot confirm class. The torpedo detection requirement remains satisfied not through a Hollywood alarm, but through disciplined watchstanding. Repeated evaluation of transients, classification attempts, countermeasure readiness, and evasion geometry designed around the most lethal, plausible explanation. A torpedo countermeasure launch remains withheld. Launching a noisemaker in shallow water can contaminate the acoustic picture and may be interpreted as confirmation of an attack, escalating the surface interaction. The captain chooses a different soft kill option first. Maneuver and deny. Come right. Steady. The turn combs possible threat bearings, aligning the ship's axis to reduce closure geometry if a weapon exists, minimizing the target aspect that a seeker might prefer. A depth adjustment follows, seeking to slip the ship's acoustic signature behind a layer boundary if present. The hull ticks again as pressure changes slightly. Normal, constant, but noticed. The patrol boat's radar energy spikes. The electronic whine rises in pitch, then steadies, consistent with an operator trying to refine lock and maintain track quality. The sail remains a poor target. The patrol boat's course becomes more circular. Confusion shows itself in motion. At 6:55 a.m., the outline's resolution beat arrives. The withdrawal of the outclassed. The GAM-class begins moving in circles that look less like tactics and more like searching for an answer. It cannot see what it needs to see. It cannot hear what it needs to hear. The weight of surveillance becomes the weapon. The submarine does not dive away. It stays visible. Physical deplatforming. The patrol boat's ability to posture collapses under the reality that the submarine chooses the exposure window and controls proximity. The patrol boat breaks course and retreats toward the coast. Maintain posture. No escalation. The Seahawk holds station and continues to monitor buoy data. Track quality on the faint undersea tonals begins to thin. It is unclear whether an actual contact withdraws, whether the buoy geometry loses coherence, or whether merchant traffic masks the lines. The only accurate statement remains: the threat picture blinks, but it does not become certain. Contact intermittent. Continue monitoring. Interceptors are discussed as part of layered defense posture, not as an event. In a broader operational picture, air defense intercept capability may be available through distant assets and networks, but no interceptor launch is confirmed or depicted. The value is deterrent readiness. If a missile threat emerges, the system of systems is expected to respond, but the outline does not support depicting that response as kinetic action. The torpedo-like transient does not develop into a confirmed weapon run. That absence does not equal safety. It equals discipline preventing a false narrative from becoming real. The patrol boat continues retreat. The sea room increases slightly. Merchant traffic resumes its usual dominance over the Strait's surface picture. The sail remains visible for a final interval, long enough to leave no doubt about control. Then posture shifts back towards survivability and reduced exposure. Log it. 7:55 a.m. arrives as the final outline beat, an hour after. The aftermath is procedural, not celebratory. A fresh pot of coffee brews in the galley. The sound is ordinary, and that ordinariness lands as a controlled release of tension. The conditioned air remains dry. The screens remain bright. The watch continues. Because the strait does not stop being dangerous after a single retreat. The real strategic consequence in this fictional reconstruction is informational. The GAM-class patrol ship's acoustic signature at multiple speeds is assessed collected. Its radar emission patterns are assessed observed. Its tactical behavior under surveillance pressure is assessed mapped. Throttle surges, turn rates, how it reacts to buoy fields, how it reacts to visible deterrents. That mapping becomes the counterattack, not a strike, not a launch, but a survival-driven counterstrike in the language that matters, future predictability. The next time that patrol boat appears, it is less unknown. The next time a similar transient appears on sonar, the crew has a baseline for what normal looked like before the ocean tried to lie. The strait is clear in the immediate sense. The shadows remain crowded in the strategic sense. The undersea ambiguity, faint tonals that never become confirmed, stays in the log as uncertainty, not as a claim. Uncertainty is treated as a standing threat in a choke point, where one uncorrelated transient can become a torpedo run in seconds. The final condition is quiet professionalism, the understanding that the most dangerous part of modern naval warfare is not the moment of firing. It is the moment when firing is possible and restraint must be executed with the same precision.